Good evening, students. Last class, we discussed about the different types of stresses, strains, and stress strain curve for mild steel materials. Now, for today's topic, 1 minute. Okay, sorry for disturbance. So last class we discussed about normal stresses, shear stresses, and bulk stresses. In meantime, we discussed about stress strain curve for ductile materials and brittle materials. So far, we discussed in the last class. Now, quick go through that previous class. So, what is the mean by stress? Means we know that stress is equal to force by area. First, we need to calculate the normal stress. For normal stress, let us take this is a cube. The load is acting on the surface of the cube. So we need to calculate the stress. So we know that stress is equal to force by area. So normal stress is equal to normal force applied on the block by area. Here, why it is taking normal force? Generally, force this force is acting towards the outside, so it is called tensile force. Which force is acting inside we call as compressive force. That force is acting on the surface of the body, then we call as a shear force or tangential force. So normal stress is equal to normal force by area. So sigma n is equal to normal force. We are going to generally represent in the terms of F, Fn by A. So A means we are going to take the area of the cross section is subjected to load only. So this particular face is subjected to load means, so that's why we consider this is the area as per this problem. Next comes to that shear stress. Shear stress is nothing but is a force acting on the surface of the body. So nothing but it is also called tangential force. See in this diagram, the force is acting on the surface. It is parallel to the surface force. Here, so let us see the axis is parallel to this one, but here the axis is perpendicular. So we had said that normal, but these two are parallel to each other, then which is called as tangential force. So shear stress is equal to tangential force by area, Ft by A. So next, bulk stress. Bulk stress is nothing but it is calculated that force is acting on the throughout the volume of the body. So this is the body volume and that is our object. The force is acting inside the body here all in all directions. So bulk stress is equal to normal inward force by area. So we generally will calculate sigma B is equal to P. Generally net force is equal to P అవుతుందండి. Load is equal to load అవుతుంది కాబట్టి, so he said that sigma B is equal to P. This is about the stresses. Last class we discussed about strain also. Strain is equal to change in length by original length or change in length by initial length. So let us take this is the hatching body is the first body. I applied some load on the body. It is going to extend from L to delta L. The previous length of the body is equal to L. After applying the load of Fn on the body, it is going to extend some surface, that is delta L. So for this condition, how to calculate the strain means change in length by original length. Change in normal length by original length. So here change in length is equal to delta L. Original length is equal to L. So delta L by L. Here there is no units for the strain. Next, shear strain is equal to tangential displacement of the body. So what is the displacement we got at the tangential position? See this. Some force is acting on the surface. It is dragging like this. So it will deflect some inclination, that is gamma. So that is delta L. So delta T. Then original is normal length. So we'll take that. We'll get your shear strain value. So there is also no units. Generally, we take radians as a unit for that, and change in length, so change in display change in the angle of that tangential displacement to the original displacement. Similarly, bulk strain is equal to delta V by V, change in volume by original volume. So like that, we are going to calculate the strains. Next, so Brinell hardness number. Brinell hardness number, generally it is a formula. It is a standardized formula. We are taken from the given the specification book table. So where P is equal to standard load acting on the member, capital D is equal to diameter of the steel ball, small d is equal to indent diameter. So generally hardness test is used for generally calculating the hardness of the component. So they have a Rockwell hardness test and Brinell hardness test. So this is how to calculate the Brinell hardness number means they have a empirical formula defined by the Brinell scientist. In he conducted experiment and he finalized he decided some values were the different ones. So if suppose we want to calculate the Brinell hardness for this any object, we need to use this formula. P is equal to load. Standard load is applying on the member. So we know that what are the loads generally we applied for the body, and this is a standardized deviation table is there. From that table we are generally calculate the load and same load applying on the component also. So D is the indenter. What is the indenter we are using for experimentation? That diameter is capital D. Small d, sorry, capital D is the diameter of the ball. What is indenter ball? Small d is the indent diameter. So by taking this ratio, we'll get the Brinell hardness number. Next, elastic constants. So elastic constants nothing but generally we have E, G, K. E is the Young's modulus, G is the rigidity modulus, K is the bulk modulus. So generally this three is called as elastic modulus. So first we go for elastic modulus capital E, Young's modulus. Elastic modulus, there are three types are there. First one is Young's modulus, second one is rigid modulus, third one is bulk modulus. So first we'll see Young's modulus. Young's modulus is nothing but it is denoted with letter capital E. It is calculated from the Hooke's law. Hooke's law is equal to stress by strain. So Hooke's is a mathematician scientist. He performed number of experiments on the different materials, and he finally concluded that stress is directly proportional to strain within the elastic limit. Within the elastic limit, stress is directly proportional to strain. Their proportional constant is generally be taken as capital E, that is Young's modulus. So the formula for Young's modulus is equal to normal stress by strain is equal to Young's modulus, capital E. Next, rigidity modulus. Rigidity modulus generally we calculated for that shear stresses. When the shear stress is acting on the member, it causes a shear strain. At that time, bulk modulus rigidity modulus is equal to or shear modulus are equal to shear stress by shear strain. It is notated with the letter capital G. Young's modulus is notated with the letter capital E. Rigidity modulus or shear modulus is notated with the letter capital G. Next, bulk modulus. It is a ratio of bulk stress to bulk strain. Is called as bulk modulus. So that is notated with letter capital K. So bulk stress equal to sigma B, strain is equal to E small epsilon B. So it provides the bulk modulus formula. Then what is the relation between E, G, K? We know that general basic definition. So for Young's modulus equal to normal stress by normal strain. Rigidity modulus equal to shear stress by shear strain. Bulk modulus equal to bulk stress by bulk strain. Then what is the relation of these three? Before going to that, knowing the relation, we need to know some terminology for calculating these things. So first we go for strain energy. Strain energy. So what do you mean by strain energy first? So what are those formulas we are using for calculating the strain energies in different materials and different conditions? So energy, the energy nothing but work is general. What is meant by work? Energy is nothing but work do the within the time, within the second. So energy. So up to failure region. Suppose let us take a stress strain curve. In stress strain curve, we are applying the load on the body. It is going to deform. Up to certain point, it is going to start as a small voids on the material. Up to that, what amount of energy is stored in the body, that energy is called strain energy. Then what are the formulas we are going to use? So U is equal to, so here U is notated with is called strain energy in the terms in the tensile when the body is subjected to tension force. Capital U is equal to called as strain energy. It is noted with strain energy. U is equal to square root of P square by 2AE. P is the applied load, L is the length of the member, and A is the area of the member, E is the Young's modulus. So here applied tensile load, A is the area, E is equal to Young's modulus. Why we are talking of why we are use integrated? Generally for calculating of strain energy, it is problem to calculate total entire body at a time. So we are taking small element on the body and we find out the strain energy. After that, given the strain energy, we are going to calculate the entire body means that you go for integration. Integration of P square by 2AE dx. So within the limits of 0 to L, we make integration, we get strain energy of the body, entire whole body will get the value. Similarly for bending, so here tensile we use tensile load, moment we use capital M. So where M is equal to bending moment. So here we are using AEE, area into Young's modulus. So here we are going to take moment of inertia of the object I into E dx. So like that we calculate the strain energy for the body subjected to bending. Similarly for torsion also, U is equal to twisting moment by 2 into Gj by Gj dx. Just remind that thing. So generally we calculate that tensile strain energy for the body, we need to consider area, Young's modulus. So for bending, instead of area, we'll take moment of inertia. Instead of it comes to torsional, we need to take polar modulus and G. G nothing but rigidly modulus. So 2 Gg dx. So T is the twisting moment or torsion. G is the rigidly modulus. J equal to polar moment of inertia, and dx is the elemental length of the object. So by taking these three formulas, we are generally calculate the strain energies. So I will share these formulas. It is a short notes and formulas for your GATE examination. I will share this document to you. Just you go through this document, you get the idea about how to calculate the energies. So these are the strain energies formulas for different materials. Just go through this and you will get the answers. So we'll see later that bending moments. First, we complete this one. Then after that, only we will go that calculating the bending moments and shear forces. So Moving to today's topic, that is shear force and bending moment diagram. So how we are going to calculate shear force and bending moment diagram? Before going to calculate these two things, first what you mean by shear force, what is mean by bending moment diagram? We'll see that first you watch this video. After that I will discuss about what is what. So I'm
used in buildings. In a beam, transverse load is acted, which in fact comes from the slabs to the column or walls. For analysis, beam can be separated out from beam-column system. Length of the beam is much higher than its lateral dimensions. Axial strain developed in a beam is very small compared to shear strain, or strain induced due to bending. So for design purpose of beams, analysis of shear force and bending moment induced are of utmost importance. The interesting thing is that, you can draw shear force and bending moment distribution along any beam, by understanding what exactly is shear force, and bending moment. First, shear force. Shear force is the resistance created in beam cross-sections, in order to balance transverse external load acting on beam. Consider this beam. It does not matter from where you take a section, when you add forces acting on it, it should be in equilibrium. Shear force is induced exactly for this purpose, to bring the section to equilibrium in vertical direction. It acts parallel to cross-section. Usual sign convention is as follows. So just by applying force balance in vertical direction, on the free body diagram we can determine value of shear force at a particular cross-section. Now we can apply same concept in different cross-section and find how shear force varies along length of the beam. But balance of transverse forces alone does not guarantee equilibrium of a section. There is another possibility of beam rotation, if moment acting on it is not balanced. If this is the case, a bending moment will be induced in cross-section of beam, to arrest this rotation. It will be induced as normal forces acting on fiber cross-section, as shown. Resultant of those forces will be zero, but it will produce a moment, to counterbalance the external moment. Sign convention of bending moment is as follows. So we can calculate moment induced at any cross-section by balancing the external moment acting on the free body diagram. With these concepts developed, we can easily calculate distribution of shear force, and bending moment, along the length of the beam. We will see some examples. For this cantilever carrying 3 loads, we can start analysis from the free end. So for between A and B, if you take a section, the only external force acting on it is F1. So a shear force should induce in section to balance this force. So value of shear force between A and B is F1. But force balance alone does not guarantee equilibrium of the section. There is an external moment on the section. So a bending moment will be induced in section, in order to balance the external moment. Since value of external moment is F into x, bending moment will vary linearly. Between B and C, effect of force F2 also comes. So shear force becomes F1 plus F2. And in bending moment, effect of F2 also gets added. Similar analysis is done between section C and D also. So SFD and BMD of this problem would look like this. Now consider this problem. A simply supported beam with uniformly distributed load. First step here would be determination of reaction forces. Since the problem is symmetrical, reaction forces will be equal, and will be half of total load acting on beam. Let's start analysis from point A. If you take section between point A and B, it should be in equilibrium. So shear force will have equal magnitude of reaction force. So bending moment also gives a linear variation. But after point B, effect of point load and distributed load comes. Effect of distributed load is something interesting. Take a section in BC. In this section, along with 2-point loads, there is a distributed load also. This distributed load can be assumed as a point load passing through centroid of distributed load. Value of that is u into x minus L by 3. And it is at a distance x minus L by 3 by 2 from section line. So shear force will have one more term, which comes from distributed load. From the equation it's clear that shear force varies linearly. You can easily predict how bending moment varies along length from the same force diagrams. Since this equation is quadratic, it will have a parabolic shape. Same procedure is repeated in remaining section. Since this problem is symmetrical, bending moment and shear force are having a symmetrical distribution. Hope you
I hope this video gives some brief idea about the shear forces and bending moment. Generally, there is a shear force, it is a balancing force acting on the member. So generally, it equilibrium the vertical forces acting on the members. For calculating of shear forces, we are going to take equilibrium conditions for the sections. So first we go for that, what is mean by beam? Beam is a structural member, structural horizontal member is called beam. Generally beams are, 1 minute. So I'm going to present my screens once again to you, all of you. So here the first type of beam is cantilever beam. Second level of beam, second beam is simply supported beam. And next one is fixed beam. Next one is overhanging beam. Next one is continuous beam. So first one is cantilever beam. It is the basic beam. We can find this application at sunsets in your homes. Sorry. So cantilever beam, one end in cantilever beam, one end is fixed, another end is free. So you can find the examples in sunsets and doors, fixed doors. These are the comes under that cantilever beam. Next one is simply supported beam. This beam is subjected. This beam is supported to both ends. It simply supports. Next, fixed beam means nothing but the two ends of the beam will be fixed. Then this called as fixed beam. Next one is overhanging, means the beam will extends from the have extension from the supports. Then we call as overhanging beam. Number of supports placed on the beam, supports by the beam, supports to the beam, that is called as continuous beams. So number of supports are placed, the beam is run over the supports. So these are the general types of beams. Next one is flow types of loads. First one is point load. It will be our concentration load. Generally, it is acting at a point. Next one is UDL. UDL means uniform distributed load. The load is going to distribute uniformly throughout the length of the beam. Next, uniform varying load. Before going to uniform varying load, just we see triangular load, and next one is uniform varying load. The load is varying uniformly on the length of the beam. Nothing says that the combination of these two. Next, so we need to convert UDL to point load means, so generally UDL we are going to represent in the form of rectangle. So we calculate the area of the rectangle, it gives the total load acting on the member. So total load is equal to area of the rectangle. So here this is the length of the rectangle, this is the height of the rectangle. So by multiplying of these two we'll get total load. Generally this total load is acted at the centroid of the rectangle. So suppose we have a beam. This beam is subjected to uniform distributed load. For simplification purpose, I want to convert this UDL into point load means. So I'm going to calculate the area of this portion. Then that I will get total load. After that, I found out the centroid for on this length of the section. So like this, I will apply the load on the beam. So this is the equivalent form of the UDL. Similarly, you need to calculate the total load of triangular section, means we need to use area of the triangular formula for calculating the total load, and position may differ from right to left or left to right, because of it have two different centroids for the triangular sections based on the moving direction. So these are the types of load and these are the types of beams. Next, after that, one minute. So next, when I'm going to draw shear force and bending moment diagram, I need to remind some few points, that is the standard points for drawing of SFD and BMD. So where SFD stands for shear force diagram, BMD stands for bending moment diagram. So here shear force diagram. Shear force diagram. So in shear force, generally we calculate a total summation of forces acting on the member. It gives shear force. So generally shear force will calculate at section X or at section Y. Like that we calculate the shear force. Suppose I want to calculate the shear force for cantilever beam. This is a beam. That beam is subjected to load at free end 3 kilonewtons. Then what is the shear force? Shear force at this section. So we take this is as A, this is B. So I want to calculate the shear force at B. So shear force nothing but a summation of the forces acting at to the point. So at point B, we have only one force, that is 3 kilonewtons. Shear force at point B is equal to 3 kilonewtons. Then what is the shear force at A? So whatever the forces acting between the point A to B, we need to take that all forces into the account and make a sum. Then it gives shear force at A. Suppose there is another force is acting opposite direction, let us say assume. So here generally we take downward forces as positive, upward forces as a negative. So plus 3 and it is a 2 kilonewtons. Can anyone tell me that what is that shear force acting at point A? So nothing but summation of total forces acting between the members. So 3 and 3 and 2. The force 2 is acting upward direction. 3 is acting downward direction. Here we are assuming that the forces acting downward direction we take as a positive, and sorry, downward direction take as a positive, upward direction take as a negative. So the shear force at point A is equal to total summation of forces acting on the member between the section. So plus 3 minus 2, it gives 1. So like that we are going to calculate the shear forces on the beam members. So bending moment is nothing but it is the for product of force into a perpendicular distance of the section. So suppose I need to calculate the bending moment at point A. So formula is force into perpendicular distance. Force into perpendicular distance. So here generally we take clockwise as a positive, anti-clockwise as a negative. So let us assume this is a beam we fix here. Then I am applying the load at free end. What will happen? It will try to rotate. So we call as movement. So due to this movement, beam is going to subject to some bending. So we call as bending moment. So how we are going to calculate the shear force bending moment? So first of all, we will see what are the questions they asked in the previous years. So for the first question, the shapes of bending moment diagram for a uniform cantilever beam carrying uniform distributed load over its length. This is a question is asked in the year of March, sorry, in the year of 2015 in the GATE question paper. So once again I'm going to read the question. The shapes of the bending moment diagram for a uniform cantilever beam carrying uniform distributed load over the length is unknown. So now I'm going to solve that. I'm going to explain that particular topic for that question. So first, so now I'm going to share my screen to you. First we'll see, then after that we go for the question. So I'm going to explain this by using simple software. So now I'm going to giving that my beam length is 10 meters. Then it is saying that it is a cantilever beam. Add. Then the load is uniform distributed load as given. Starting at 0, ending point at 1, 10. starting point 0, load value is equal to, I'm giving 10, the load is acting downward direction. So this is a problem is given in your GATE question paper. Is not given any numerical value. For example purpose, I given the numerics. So cantilever beams means it is having one end fixed, another end is free. It is carrying a uniform distributed load over a length. So I drawn over a length, that is a beam load. So for that I'm going to calculate the shear force and bending moment. See this diagram. So first I'm going to calculate shear force at this point. So how to calculate the uniform distributed load? What is the formula for uniform distributed load to point load conversion? Area of the particular section acting the load. So load 10 is acting on the member at a distance of 10. So point load is 100. So I want to calculate the shear force at particular starting point, that at a distance is equal to 0. What is the shear force? 10 into 0, it comes 0. So I put 0 here. So I'm taking the another final section at point A. Here I want to calculate the shear force at this particular point. 10 into, what is the distance? 10. It gives 100. So I keep a point 100 on 100 on y-axis, and I draw an incline line. I connect at 0 to 100. This is the diagram for shear force. Next, moment ante. What is the formula for moment? Force into its perpendicular distance. So here 0. Keep it 0. Comes to here. So force is equal to 10 into 10. It gives 100. Where it is acting at centroid. What is the centroid location of this beam? The beam height 10 meters. So rectangle generally they have center at middle. 10 by 2 is equal to 5. 100 into 5, it gives 500. So I keep the point here and draw the line between these two. So now, so can anyone tell me what is that? So by seeing this, in your question, they are given as the shapes of the bending moment diagram for uniform cantilever beam carrying uniform distributed load over its a length. Can anyone tell me what is that? It is a straight line or some ellipse shape as given? So obviously it is an ellipse line. So ellipse, that answer they are given two. One is straight line, another one is ellipse. So I select ellipse as a correct answer for that problem. Next, sorry. They are given four options. One is straight line, ellipse, hyperbola, parabola. So I put answer for parabola. It is a shape look like as a parabola. So I put as a answer as parabola. So parabola is the correct answer for that question. So next, so we need to remind some few points when going to draw shear force bending moment diagram. I will give some inputs to the drawing of finding the lines, shapes, and on shear force BMD. First, I will explain for SFD, nothing but shear force diagram. So let us take this is a beam. Whatever the beam, this is a beam. Load is acting between the points. So let us take this is B, this is A. So load is acting between the points. So like this, we'll assume that first, if the beam is subjected to a point loads, we'll get vertical line at the point. There is no load between the points. Let us take B to C. B to C, between B to C, there is no load. We'll get horizontal line. If the load is there, it will move up or downward direction vertically. Okay, there is no load. Once again, it will go straight. So like that, we will draw shear force. If the point load is acting on the member, so we'll get vertical line. There is no load, we get horizontal line. Suppose in that beam, they have a UDL, uniform distributed over length. So we will get in shear SFD, we will get inclined straight line. Inclined straight line. It comes to BMD diagram. The load is acting on the particular points. Between the points, we'll get inclined line. Inclined straight line. So moment is equal to 0. There is no change. Just remind the point. Here we will get parabola curve, parabola shapes in UDL. Suppose triangular load is there, we'll get parabola for SFD. Here cubic will get cubic curves. Just you need to remind the points. And there is no load acting on the member. For SFD, I will provide a shortcuts of diagrams lines. No load. In SFD, we'll get horizontal line. In BMD, we get inclined line. There is a load that is acting point, that is a point load. Sudden increase in the, we get vertical straight line. Here we get inclined line. UDL, uniform distributed load there. We'll get here inclined line. We'll get parabola. Uniform varying load, UVL, will get parabola shape. Here we will get cubic spline curve. So we need to remind these points. Next. So in previous paper, I'm going to share your previous paper of beams. 1 minute. I'm going to share my screen to you. So this is I hope first question. The shapes of bending moment diagram of uniform cantilever beam carrying uniform distributed load over its length. So for that answer, I choose as a parabola. So answer is parabola. So just see the diagram hint. So answer is parabola. We get equation of parabola. Next question 2. A concentric load P is acting on simply supported beam of span length L at a distance of L by 3 from the left support. The bending moment at the point of the application of load is given by. So in this problem, given a concentric load P act on a simply supported beam of a span of L at a distance of L by 3 from the left support. So once again we'll see. So in that problem, in your problem, so in that problem, so cantilever beam, it is having a length of L. So some point load is acting on the beam at a distance of L by 3 from the left support. Then what is the bending moment? What is the bending moment? Point of application of load is given. So what is that bending moment at this point they ask. So bending moment formula is nothing but load into its perpendicular distance. What is the load acting here? Load P is acting here. Then bending L by 3 is the bending distance. So P into L by 3 is the answer. Simple logic. So we'll check it's whether it is correct or not. So answer is So in that problem, they given as simply supported. Oh, sorry, I taken as cantilever. So problem is given as simply supported. For this condition, first we need to calculate unknown forces by using equilibrium principles. Here, what is the force? I don't know. Here, what is the force? I don't know. First, I want to going to calculate these two. So basically, the total summation of vertical forces are equal to 0. So let us say this is the force F1, R1. Let's say reaction force R1. This is R2. So first, I'm going to write equation where summation of all vertical forces are equal to 0. So R1 plus R2. So these two forces acting upward direction I take as a positive, downward direction I take as a negative. P is equal to 0. So from that, P is equal to R1 plus R2. So this is your first equation. Then after that, I will going to calculate the bending moment at point A. So how to calculate the bending moment? Total summation of bending moment at point A is equal to 0. Let us say. So R2 into L, P into L by 3. So by doing this, we'll get first unknown reactions. After getting the unknown reactions, we'll calculate the bending moment. See this in this this is problem is asked in 2003 GATE question paper, GATE ME 2003. So a concentric load P act on a simply supported beam of span L. So the distance and bending moment of point application load is given. PL by 3, 2PL by 3, PL by 9, 2PL by 2. So it is given as a simply supported beam. So this is a simply supported beam. L by 3 is acting at left side, P. So first we need to calculate the reaction forces at ends. So R1 plus R2 is equal to P, taking moment about R1. So R2 into L by P into L by 3. By simplifying this, we will get R1 equal to 2P by 3. So similarly, R1 plus R2 is equal to P. Let us substitute R1 value in this equation. We will get R2 also. R2 is equal to P by 3. So after getting R1, R2 values from the equation, we will calculate the bending moment. So bending moment at R1 is equal to P2 into L first. P2 into L minus P into L. By simplifying these two, we will get the answer for that question. That is 2PL by 9. How we will get the 2PL by 9? So how we get the 9? So first one is R. Simplifying. So P by 3 into L. P into L by 3. Sorry, P by 3 into L. PL by 3 minus P into L. By taking the LCM, we'll get the answer is 2PL by 9. So like that, they are asking the problems in previous years. So see this diagram. It's a cantilever beam carries an anti-symmetric load of shown figure W, peak intensity and distributed load qualitatively correcting bending moment diagram. This is the beam is. So ila undandi. So load is acting like this. LL. Then what is the corrective moment diagram? So bending moment diagram, just we need to draw the bending moment diagram for this condition. So generally we get the bending moment like that for your problems. It is a triangular load. We said that we'll get in bending moment is a cubic spline curve. Cubic spline curve. So can anyone tell me what is that cubic spline curve here? So this is the cubic spline curve. We will get like this curve for bending moment diagram. It is generally it is asking simple questions only. We will not go for in depthly. So we need to know whatever that thing we discussed in the previously. We need to have good understanding for that drawing of diagram. We'll get answer the easily. So like that, the question asking regularly in your GATE examination. So that's all for today. I will share simple material for SFD BMD and what are the basic condition for the next class. I will share through you and I will present the same thing in the next class. I think tomorrow is the next class, so we'll discuss on the remaining things. Thank you.